Futures prop firms are extremely easy to pass, or are they? Why are futures prop firms such a profitable business model? That's what I want to talk about in this video. I want to talk about the futures prop firm model in general, what rules you should look out for, how they make their money, and how you can profit from them. This is going to be the most detailed video about futures prop firms on YouTube. There's nothing that is going to come close to this. And if you want to understand futures prop firms, then this is where you should be. So I have my iPad, I have my Figma file where I have put everything you need to know there. If you're clicking on this, you probably know what the prop firm model is. You pay a certain fee, you take a challenge. If you pass the challenge, which is going to be hitting a percentage in return without breaching the drawdown, you are going to go into a live simulated account in which you can make some profits, actual profits, where you get paid, obviously, a percentage fee because you're never trading live. And we've seen a lot of troubles in the CFD space not long ago, and a lot of people started going into futures firms, and I was one of them because I started seeing, okay, futures firms are holding strong while CFD firms are constantly changing rules and tweaking this and that and that, and I'm like, oh my god, I just want something that is consistent, I know what I'm getting, and that's it. No hidden rules, nothing. Well, there are always going to be some hidden rules, but that's what we want to target here today. By the way, before getting into this video, none of these companies are paying me. The only way that I get paid is by providing value to you and you using the links in the description. Those are affiliate links. I get a small kickback if you buy something from it. And that's why I'm giving you value up front for you to understand all of this. And then the first link is going to be the Simple Trading Edge, which if you want to become a profitable trader, there you go. Now let's get into the video. So first of all, I want to talk about the rules to look out for. And the first rule is the reason as to why a lot of people don't like futures prop firms, and I completely get it, which is the drawdown, which in all of the prop firms is going to be trailing unless you go for the static accounts that some firms have. Then, second is the consistency rule, and this is basically to avoid you getting a huge payout because of one large trade. They want to avoid that completely, or you passing the challenge in just one trade, which is what Top Step does. Then we have the profit to drawdown ratio. I was the first one to talk about the profit to drawdown ratio, which basically means how easy or hard a challenge is, because at the end of the day, profit and drawdown is what you have to work with. You don't have a 150k account, you have a $5,000 drawdown, which is what you have. And if you have to achieve $9,000 in order to pass a challenge, just like in the My Funded Futures Started Program 150k challenge, then you are going to have a profit to drawdown ratio of 1.1. That means that you need 1.8 times your drawdown in order to pass the challenge. And again, that defines how easy or hard a challenge is. Then we have the activation fee, which is just another fee that they add on top in order for them to squeeze the most amount of value from you before you get a payout. Then we have drawdown live rules, payout caps, prices, and then last but not least, we have value for money. I think this is going to be one of the most important ones, so definitely stick around. I will explain to you all of these numbers and make sure that you understand. Now, breaking down the three most popular futures firms, you have Top Step, which is the most simple one. It has one challenge, it has one set of rules, and that's what you have to stick to. It only has 3 accounts. Then you have Apex, which to me is not the one that I personally like the most, but there's a certain type of people that will prefer Apex. What are they known for? A lot of challenges, most people going for 20 accounts of 50k, and we will understand why. Super cheap challenges, constantly 80-90% discount codes, which are not a discount code. Basically, no one pays the original price, so you'll see that here. Then we have My Funded Futures, newer into the game, but came with a very profitable business model, very quick payouts, no issues, so on and so forth. And then we have My Funded Futures, which in my opinion, they came in as a target versus Top Step, but they simply became different firms, and I will explain to you why. You'll see that most firms, they're very different from each other. Each one wants to do one thing in specific. And again, we're going to break all of that down right now. So, trailing drawdown. This is the #1 rule that people mostly complain about. I've personally complained about this in the past. I personally like this rule now. The only reason why is because I've seen myself becoming a more sustainable trader because of that. But trailing drawdown, now this is where Apex gets a lot of flack because My Funded Futures and Top Step both have trailing drawdown at the end of the day. And Apex actually has it on your equity high. What does this mean? Let's say that you have a 100K account. This would mean that your original balance is 100K, your drawdown is 96K because it is, again, as I said, 4K. Then the profit target, or let's even not talk about the profit target because this applies in all accounts. So what basically happens is that once you profit, let's say you profit and you go all the way up to 101,000 right here, 101K. So you close the trade and at the end of the day, you finished with 1K profit. Now, what is going to happen is that your drawdown is actually going to increase to match your profit. So your drawdown goes from being 96,000 to being 97,000 because, again, it's $4,000 from the high to your overall drawdown. It basically always goes up with you, but every time you take a loss, this stays the same. So that's why people don't like the trailing drawdown. What most prop firms then do is that when your drawdown reaches your original balance, it doesn't continue going up, so it stays at original balance. What does this do? Well, this reduces the downside on prop firms because you never are exposed to a lot of risk on their side, right? Like on CFD firms, let's say I profit 10%, all of a sudden I have 20% to play with. So if I'm risking all of that drawdown, I can make an extra 20% and then an extra 20%. So they limit their risk by tightening the drawdown. And I think, again, I don't like the rule, but I've just learned to live with it if I want to trade with these firms. Then we have the consistency rule. So the consistency rule, I personally don't like the consistency rule on the challenge. And the reason for that is because I know a lot of people are going to call me a gambler, blah, blah, blah. I've made over 10x everything I've put into challenges. But what I do is when I go into a challenge, I actually like to risk the drawdown that I have available. I want to get live. I don't make money on the challenge accounts, so I want to go live. I don't really care. So I personally don't like consistency rules on the challenges, and TopStep has the 50% consistency rule on the challenge. The consistency rule basically means that your biggest trade cannot be 50% higher than your total profit. Now, on the challenge, very, very easy. Don't let one day be more than 50% of your profits. That's basically it. On the challenge, it's pretty straightforward. On the live accounts, this is where it gets tricky, because if you have a great trade on a live account, and I did this calculator too, which is also going to be linked in the description. If you're still watching, I would appreciate it if you guys leave a like and subscribe. Let's go back into the video. I've made this calculator, and basically what happens is that let's say that you have normal day, and then the high profit day, which this happened to me, by the way. All of a sudden, you don't meet the consistency rule, and you have a 40% consistency rule. This means that right now, you need to profit an extra $3,400 for you to reach the consistency rule. So not only would you need the exact same day as you have here, but you still had to profit an extra $700 to meet the consistency rule. What does this do? Again, this does not allow you to have big trades. Or if you have a big trade, what are they going to do? Okay, now prove to us that it's not a fluke. Go ahead. You just entered the big trade. Congrats, you made $5,000 on a trade. Ooh, boo-hoo. Now, show us, is this actually something that you do? This is what prop firms do. Because if you go ahead and you risk all of your drawdown in one trade, then what do you have to do? Well, the drawdown is going to trail, first of all, and then you're going to have to prove that you can do it again. So, let's say that I enter in a $10,000 trade because I risked all of my drawdown and I gambled my way through it. And I'm not saying that it's gambling. I know a lot of people that have really, really killer trades because they know how to hold the winners. But then what they want you to do is profit $14,000 more. And worse, even when it's 30%. Because when it's 30%, then let me tell you, you will need to profit an extra $22,000 when one trade, when one day is over $10,000. Can you see how this consistency rule, what it does is that it keeps you away from making profit out of a fluke. They don't want gamblers. They want traders that know what they're doing. They want traders that have a repeatable process. And so that's why they apply this consistency rule live. Now, with TopStep, they actually don't have a consistency rule live. What they have is that you need 500 days of $200, and your payout cap is 50% of the account balance per withdrawal. Now, minimum trading days, either way, with my funded futures, I don't know if they've changed this rule, by the way. You have to trade at least 1 day per week on the starter plan. So this is the starter plan and this is the expert plan. So you don't have minimum trading days on a challenge. The only reason why Top Step has minimum trading days is because of the consistency rule, but you basically can get funded in 1 day. Now, this is where we get into the profit to drawdown ratio, because this is one of the things that I personally did not understand at first with prop firm challenges, because with CFD firms, the higher the account size you go for, the better it is for you, because the better bang for your buck you get, because all of the challenges are the same. Not with futures firms. So when I joined futures, it was always weird. Why is everyone going for the 50K challenges? It doesn't make any sense. Why the 50K challenges? And that's when I looked into it. And a friend of mine told me, bro, why are you not doing 50K challenge? And I'm like, well, because I want the biggest account. And he was like, that's not how it works with futures firms. If you check, notice how the profit to drawdown ratio is so different between accounts, which means that the profit target divided by the max drawdown is very different on the 50K account versus on the 150K account. What does this mean? This means that the bigger the account size, the harder it is to pass, because you have to multiply your drawdown more and more. So Apex has a really easy way to look at this. So notice how on the $25,000 challenge, you have a profit target of $1,500 and a drawdown of $1,500. It's 1-to-1. Right? But if you go onto the 100K challenge, you have $6,000 of profit target and $3,000 of drawdown. Can you see how they play with these numbers for you to go for the smaller challenges? Because that means more volume for them. And what does that also mean? A higher chance of you blowing the account, because you're still going to go for the minis, and there you go, you're going to blow the account. So that's what they're preying on these challenges. And again, what does this do? This reduces the upside risk that they have with you. Because the smaller the challenge you go for, the lower the risk of you making huge profits. And if you have a challenge that has more risk, such as the 150K challenge, they want to make it harder to pass. And that's the number one thing that they do. Now, the profit to drawdown ratio is always going to be very based on how hard the challenge is to pass and how hard it is to get a payout. Because again, they want to make sure it's as hard as possible, because basically futures firms, they need to have a balance between what? They need to have a balance between how hard a challenge is or how hard it is to get a payout. Because let's see the difference between the starter, which is right here, and the expert, which is right here. So can you see how the profit to drawdown ratio is very different from one to the other, where the 50K account starts at 1.2 profit to drawdown ratio, while the 50K account on the expert plan starts at 2. Why? Because you have no payout rules and you have no payout cap. So can you see how they do this balance between how hard a challenge is to pass versus how hard it is for you to get a payout? So expert plan, not hard to get a payout. Starter plan, harder to get a payout. Challenge on the starter, easier. On the expert, harder. Can you understand how they play with this in order for them to stay profitable? Now, same thing goes with Apex. What does Apex do? Very good profit to drawdown ratio, especially on the 50K and 25K accounts. But then you have the activation fee, so that takes more money from you. Then you have the trailing drawdown on open positions. Then you have 30% consistency rules. So can you see again? And that's why I'm making this video. I want to show you the strategy and the planning that they have and why this business model is so profitable. They either make the challenge hard or they make the payout hard. Then you have the activation fee. And this is something that my funded futures had before, which, what is the goal with the activation fee? Well, think about this. You pass the challenge, okay, good job. Now pay us. Why? Because this makes you think, okay, I can afford more challenges because they are cheaper. But when you get to funded, you pay the same amount as you would pay on a regular 100K account, on a regular 150K account. Why do they do this? Because that increases the value that they take from you before you even get a payout. And this increases the margins by a lot, because now you have to make up for this. Don't forget, what did I say? Payouts are hard when challenge is easy. And when do they get the most amount of value from you? Is during the challenge phase. So can you see how this business model is extremely profitable? Because let's think about Apex. Apex, their 50K account costs $34. But then you have 30% consistency rules, and look at this. For you to activate the account, you need to pay $140 if you do it with lifetime, or you pay $85 a month. So think about this. It's so wild how they do this. I promise it's genius. So if you go for lifetime, you need to keep the account for 2 months at least for it to be more worth it than the monthly. And most people are not going to keep the account for 2 months. But they lure you in with a lifetime. Why? Because let's say you go for 20 50K accounts. So 20 50K accounts, you pay $33 per account. So you paid $666. But when you pass and you want the lifetime, then what do? They make you pay 140 times 20. So in order to get all of that funding, you need to pay $3,500. And let's not forget the number of challenges that you failed by trying to get to the funded stage. So they've already squeezed $3,500 from you, and now you still have to meet the consistency rule. You still have to dodge the drawdown. You still have to dodge so many things. Again, I'm laughing because prop firms completely changed the game. They have completely changed the game for us as traders because they allow us, if we are a profitable trader, to actually make money as a trader. We are not undercapitalized anymore. That is not an issue anymore. When you are a good trader, you can get funded with firms, and even this $3,500 is going to be worth it. But I just want you guys to understand the business model as much as possible. They try to squeeze as much of you, and then they try to make the payout process as hard as possible for you not to get it. Because now let's get into the payout rules. So first of all, let's not forget, you have the consistency rule. On both My Funded Futures, on the starter program, you have consistency rule, and on Apex, same thing. Guess what? Oh, the easiest challenges to pass have a consistency rule live. Well, who would have thought? Then, if you want to get a payout on the starter program, you need 5 days of $100 to $300 depending on your account, and your minimum payout is $1,000. Every time you get a payout, your drawdown now locks in at an initial balance. So again, they squeeze you a little bit more. Plus, again, don't forget you need to meet the consistency rule. With the expert plan, again, you have no rules. Minimum payout is $1,000, but that's why you're paying a little bit of a higher price. Can you understand how they play this? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Then Apex, you have 30% consistency, and you need 10 trading days. If I'm not mistaken, it's profitable trading days between payouts, and the minimum payout is $500 plus the 30% consistency rule. And then we have Top Step that has 5 days of $200. Now let me quickly give you an explanation on if you're looking for this is what you should do. If you want the easiest challenge to pass, I would say My Funded Futures or Apex. Why? Because again, you have no consistency rule. But if you want the easiest prop firm to get you to a payout, then it's Top Step or the expert plan on My Funded Futures. There's no questions about it because again, the challenge is a little bit harder or the challenge is a little bit more expensive, and that's where you get the easiest payout. So you need to understand what balance do you want. Easy payout, easy challenge. And this will allow you to understand what prop firm you want to go for. Now, next, let's say you do meet these payout rules. Then you have a payout cap. So on a 50K account, you can, in My Funded Future Starter, maximum get $1,200 after 5 winning days, 100K account $2,400, 150K account $3,600. And after you have 30 winning days, this payout cap is no more. But again, how many people get to the 30 winning days? I've personally always got there. Hey, quick flex. I had to. Come on, I had to flex a little. Just kidding. So this is void after 30 winning days. Expert, no rules. Then on Apex, you have 1,500, 2,000, 2,250, 2,500. So can you see once again that the 50K account is the one that is most worth it on Apex? That's what they try to do. Because notice how this is 1% of the account. It's like 1.1%, whatever. While on the 50K account, this is 4%. So can you see how they make the 50K account the most worth it? They want you to go for volume. They don't want you to go for size because that gives them the most amount of risk. And this is void after 3 months. Then on top step, you have 50% of the account balance per withdrawal, void after 30 profitable days. That's when you can take the whole amount out. And by the way, every time you get a payout, even if you haven't reached what we have here, which is drawdown plus $100 that locks in at break even, the profit split, make sure that your drawdown is trailed to break even and it stays there, because this is the other way that futures prop firms try to get you. What is it? So you've passed the challenge. Great. Challenge passed. Now you have the challenge of getting to a payout. So you were able to dodge the consistency rule, you were able to dodge the trailing drawdown, you were able to dodge everything. Now you finally want to get paid, right? What would I tell you to do on CFD firms? I would tell you to take the whole profit out. Because you still have the 10% drawdown, stop giving away money that is yours. Futures prop firms do this differently. Because futures prop firms say, oh, you want to withdraw everything? You can't. And if you do, your account is closed. So go back to step number 1. I promise you, when I was looking into this, I was like, this is, oh my God, it looks so beautiful from the outside, but then the rules just make it harder and harder and harder. But again, I love it. I love this game. I love the trading game. I love the prop firm game. I love everything about trading. And that's why I'm making this video. And I want to show you how they do this, because like that, you can go into prop firms with an understanding of what you are getting. Because I've talked with prop firm CEOs, and usually what they would say is, don't you think that your reviews just make sure that people don't go for prop firms? And I was like, no. It just makes sure that people go to prop firms knowing what is coming. And I think that an informed customer is the best customer. Because now, if you decide to use any of the links down in the description, you cannot say, oh, I did not know about this rule. Oh, I did not know about that rule. You know everything here. By the way, for example, Apex, they have a requirement for you to always have a stop loss and never having an above 1, 2, 3 risk to reward, something like that. So it's important for you to know all of these rules. It's important for you to know how they get you, because that's the only way that you can actually then know how to make money from this. Now, the prices are all displayed here. If you guys want to check all of this, it's going to be the second link in the description, just below the link of the Simple Trading Edge. If you want to become a profitable trader, that is the place to be. So you have the prices for the starter plan, expert plan, Apex, and Top Step. Again, if you're asking me, Top Step is always going to be the most clean one. They have one plan, they have one set of rules, and that's it, right? There's not much complication. Like Apex, huge amount of accounts, like the website is weird, I don't know. And then My Funded Futures, again, sometimes they run discounts, sometimes they don't. Use code Kimmel, it's gonna help you. By the way, none of these companies are paying me. I'll tell you that for sure. I wish. Just kidding. Yeah, if all of them would pay me, that would be great. The only way I get paid is with the affiliate link. So if you guys want to check them out, the link is going to be in the description. Okay, so now value for money. Now, the higher this number, the more value for money it is. I've tried to come up with a way to put all of these companies against one another, but it's really, really hard because I don't know how much you care about the trailing drawdown on equity versus the trailing drawdown at the end of the day. And so I can't really help you on actually picking besides all of this that I just showed you. But what you will always see is that the smaller the account, the higher the value for money you are going to have. So on My Funded Futures Starter program, you have the 50K account is the one that is most worth it. On Apex, the 50K account is also the most worth it. It's actually not the 25K account, even though the profit to drawdown ratio is the lowest on the 25K account. That does not mean that it's the most valuable one. It's actually the 50K account. Why? Because they limit you to 5 contracts, and they don't have, just like in Apex where 5 contracts means 5 minis and you can also use 5 micros. It's actually 5 micros or 5 minis. So that's why this one looks the most worth it, but then you can't really use that much risk. So that's why the 50K account is most worth it here. Now, let's understand the downsides of each program. So starter program, you have consistency rule, you have minimum profitable days, you have payout caps, and on the challenge you also have a daily loss limit, which again limits you on how much you can risk on one particular day to get to funding. Then expert account is simply because it's the one out of all of these with the highest profit to drawdown ratio besides the 250k and 300k of Apex. But again, just don't go for these. Then on Apex, you have the fact that you have equity high and you have 30% consistency rule in the live stage. You have the activation fee, you have 30% consistency, and you have a payout cap, right? So if you want to go for Apex, just go for the 50k count. Listen, if you look at this video and you decide to go for anything besides the 50k count on Apex, you did not understand this video. The 50k count is the only one that makes sense, or the 25k count are the only ones that make sense on Apex. Anyone that is using anything above this, I would say, does not understand the prop firm model in general. So keep that in mind. And then with Top Step, the only thing that I would say is that since they have the 50% consistency rule on the challenge, it makes it harder to pass. Then you have the activation fee, then you have 5 days of $200. And your payout cap is 50% of the account balance. So before I tell you how to make money from futures prop firms, let me give it to you straight. None of these companies is going to be easy. None of them. If you want to go for the easiest one, I would go for Top Step. If you want to go for the overall best one, I would go for My Funded Futures. If you want to go for the hardest one, but the cheapest one at the same time, at least during the challenge phase, then go for Apex. But you simply need to understand that prop firms are not here for you. Prop firms don't care about you. The last thing they want is to give you a payout. The only reason why they want to give you a payout, what is it for? It's for you to flaunt it on social media and then make sure to get them more customers. That's the only reason why they like payouts. If they could, they would deny every single payout. Payouts is just a way for them to lose money. But it's not when it's publicity. So, don't think that prop firms are here for you. And if you think, oh man, this is so bad, oh, this doesn't make any sense, then just don't go for them. No one is forcing you to go for prop firms. You're the one that is here, oh no, prop firms are trash, No one is forcing you to go for them. Just go for a personal account. I have my personal account. Why don't you have your personal account? You think trading a personal account is easier. Good luck. If you are unprofitable, you're going to be unprofitable on your personal account, just like you will be on futures firms. It's not the prop firm that is against you, it's the whole market. Everything is against you. No one wants to see you win in the market. The market doesn't want to see you win. Prop firms doesn't want to see you win. Brokers don't want to see you win. So who do you think you're fighting against? It's not prop firms. Let me tell you that. So this is why you need to understand the rules, because right now you're going to make an informed decision on what prop firm you want to go for, or if you even want to go for prop firms, or you just go to a personal account. Whatever you want to do, just do it. Instead of trying to, oh no, this is so bad. Now, how to make money. If you are still here, you want to know how to make money with futures prop firms. Well, let's understand. First of all, set the stage, be profitable. If they're not taking your money through the challenge, they're taking your money through the live account. Because if you pass the challenge because you gambled, then oh my god, I am so good. By the way, now you reached the live phase. Now you have to actually prove that you know how to trade. So be profitable, that's first of all. If you're not profitable, you're not gonna make money in any market, in any prop firm, in any live account. You're not. Second of all, understand what risk management you are going to use on the challenge and on the live account. I've made videos on this. If you want, check those out. Just check Kimmel Trading, Risk Management, Futures, and you'll have that. Then once you get to live, what I would tell you is aim for low. Don't try to gamble your whole way through it, because if you do and if you take a winning trade, boom, consistency rule hits you. Slow and steady wins the race live. Most of my money that I've made has been through consistently making good profits on a day-by-day basis, and then 1 or 2 days have great trading days, and then back to consistent profits day in and day out. And that's what I would recommend you doing too, which is consistent profits day in and day out. When you see that a big trade is coming, instead of sizing up, just hold the trade for longer. That's what I've personally done. So that's my recommendation. That's the rules for you to look out for. That's how they make their money, and that's how you can profit. Just take it slow. Focus on high probability setups as soon as you start the account, because you don't want to start in drawdown. Consistency over anything else. Don't over risk. In micros, make money. Keep that in mind. So that is basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you enjoyed, then leave a like, subscribe. And if you want to help out the channel, then make sure to check the links in the description. Those are both the links for the Simple Trading Edge, which if you want to become profitable, the consistency rule calculator, which is all for free. And last but not least, the affiliate links for the prop firms. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Use the links. See you in the next video. Peace.